Copperfields, welcome back to Miku's Crackhouse. I'm your host as always, Sam, professional Kingma, and joining me is my best friend and co-host, Miles, synonym for professional J, which I didn't look up in the thesaurus before we started today. Thesaurus, Jesus Christ. Anyways, this is episode 128. I'm glad to be back. We're back. We got a new schedule now. We're no longer airing on every Friday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We now have a new schedule date of Mondays at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time because Miles and I are working men now. So celebrate. We're out, decked out to the nines, looking our best professional selves. And yeah, Miles, what's going on this week, dude?
Do you have content this week, Sam? Do you have any, because here's the thing about working, Sam, is that I'm convinced that all of my content is getting more and more petty and less amusing because it's like I have one observation a day now. I have one observation a day, and that's it.
Yeah, the amount of content I'm able to consume outside of work is like about 15% of what I was capable of when I was unemployed. But honestly, that's good because 85% of the shit I was consuming was doo-doo dog shit. It was like crap shit. So I don't really feel too bad about it. I don't really feel too bad about it. But
see, I don't feel bad about it. My job is remote, and so I'm allowed to. I don't have to wear this suit. I usually look like I usually do on Crackhouse, but with even worse t-shirts, typically. So in most instances, I'm able to just kind of show up and start working and just I can kick my feet up while I wait for certain things to move. Like if I finish something, I just kind of have to wait until it's approved or it's needs revision. And so I just I mod the new Zelda game and I do my job, I do my work, and that's that. I would honestly say that I made more progress in tweaking things in NX editor than I did in actual editing, which is very funny, which is very, very funny. But I did have a couple of observations this week that I can talk about. But first, I want to talk about working, Sam.
Yeah.
I want to talk about specifically one aspect of working that is probably super, super unique to people in my industry post-COVID, okay?
Yeah.
Which is that the job that I do has introduced... It's like we just entered the fucking 7th generation. It's like Shenmue just came out because my job has so many QTEs. I have to hit so many QTEs at work. And it's not even for the job itself. It's not on the resume they were like, so I see you got the best ending in Heavy Rain. Can you tell me about this? It's not this is an expected part of the job. It's just we have so many security measures to get into the work interface. And a lot of them require you to be fucking ready on the trigger, even though you just entered your password. You just want to wait until the fucking spinning circle finishes and you can get to your web portal. A lot of them require you to also be a crack shot with your phone at the ready because they're going to send you a push notification like, hey, did you just try to sign in? Was that you? Did you just try to sign in? And it's there's literally a QTE bar going across the push notification that's hey bro, hey, was this you? Was this you? Because if it's not you, you're gonna have to do it again. That's a red stamp. You got to fail on that one. And yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's it. You gotta go back to checkpoint, man. So they're gonna make you roll back the QTE if you miss it. This isn't a Heavy Rain shake it off and continue QTE. This is a classic Sonic Unleashed QTE. This is a Dark Cloud 1 QTE where you either hit it or you don't. And if you don't, you gotta run it the fuck back.
Sonic Unleashed Werehog boss fight QTE.
Yeah, or it's just hey, did you miss that? Yeah, I'm sorry, you gotta do it.
Did you miss this one quick time event in a string of 8? Hope you want to do it again. The worst was quick time events on the Wii when it would be buttons and then motions. You gotta shake it this way or shake it this way. It's oh my god.
People who think the Wii version of that game is better are that I'm trying to think of a really good comparison. I think the best one that I can give, they are the Demon Souls fans. But not the Demon Souls fans who just like have an affinity for Demon Souls. They're the Demon Souls fans who have an affinity for Demon Souls specifically as backlash against Dark Souls 2 and 3. Like specifically against like the Matthew, like they watched the Matthew Matosis video once and they said, "Oh, this is my opinion too." Because that game, it's not bad. The Wii version's not bad, but it's like the Xbox 360 version is so fucking godlike. It's so good. And people who like prefer the Wii version, like they always have problems with shit that makes the game great. Like I can't explain this properly. But people are always like, yeah, the Wii version, it doesn't have, it doesn't have a lot of the problems that the Xbox version. Like good level design. Yeah, no, it doesn't have those. Doesn't have those problems. Doesn't have the problems where you actually have to play the game.
The thing with Sonic Unleashed Wii versus 360 is that the 360 version just like is the better game, like has the highest highs. The only thing the Wii version has over the fucking 360 version is that the werehog levels are fucking chopped up. So it's not a fucking marathon Iron Man sprint every time you want to play one of the goddamn werehog levels. Like, because it's annoying. They're half an hour, Miles. The werehog level shouldn't be half an hour long. That's too long for a Sonic stage.
Still long for any stage. In a platform sense, that's way too long in general.
Yeah, because it's very like the platforming with the werehog is like pretty simple and like it's not one note, but it's like two note. It's not. It's that complicated.
You gotta jump and you gotta double jump.
And then the beat 'em up is like elements are a bit more complicated, like more like God of War and stuff, but like it's still not that crazy. You can't. It's fun for 15 minutes. Yeah. Like the Chunan level, Dragon Road Night is like a 16-minute stage. It's like one of the shortest ones. Perfect. It's perfect. Every other stage like 40 minutes though, like Adabat and shit.
I very much remember the Arid Sands area. What is that? What is Kuwait called in that game?
Shamar.
Shamar, that is such a great name too. Shamar.
All the fucking places.
Yeah, can we talk about these names? All the
because it's Spangonia for Rooftop Run.
So good.
Missouri for
Mazuri for Africa, not Missouri. Like Missouri's a very different.
Missouri's where I'm at right now.
We got to talk about the Sonic stage that would take place in Missouri after this. You got to try and break down the Sonic stage that would take place in Missouri.
It's like the first Sonic the Hedgehog live action movie where it's like Green Hills, like truck stop town, like.
So basically, it's like Sonic
but it would
like
be like
through a bodega.
It'd be like it's what it is over here. It's like Hilltop Zone without the lava.
Gotcha.
Hilltop Zone with no hazards. No, instead of replace the lava with interstates.
Yeah, there you go. You gotta dodge
it's like a Frogger level.
Yeah, you gotta dodge trucks and stuff with your quick. I mean, that's basically Empire City. A great name, by the way.
Empire City is great, although there's like 20,000 fictional Empire cities, so it's not.
Yeah, but this one's especially good because it's just like Central Park and also nothing else.
And also the actual stage name is called Skyscraper Scamper, which is awesome.
That's incredible. Yeah, no, I'm fond of Apatos. There's something about Apatos that's so Greek, but specifically like OG Greek, like mythological Greco-Roman Greek.
Yeah, Apatos. Like you're like my boy Poseidon.
Yeah, like I'm talking like. Fucking Sonic brought fire down and was punished by Zeus, like level Grecian. Yeah, and then you got Chunan, which is great. Chuanon.
Chuanon.
Go see Sound of Freedom, but all the Chuananians love it. Yeah, all the Chuananians love it. Holaska, which is really good. Holaska is
Holaska. Yeah, for Cool Edge.
For Cool Edge. Now that's like a top 3.
Cool Edge. That's such a great name. Great music too.
Oh yeah, no, that's one of the best tracks in the game. We already mentioned Spagonia. Did we cover them all? I think no, and then Adabat. We forgot Adabat, which is
Jungle Joyride.
Absolutely underrated level name. Yeah, and Savannah.
Savannah Citadel is
Savannah Citadel
Shamar.
from Missouri.
Sorry, for Missouri. That's the name of the stage. And then Arid Sands is Shamar.
Is Shamar, yeah, which is great. That also has that's probably got the most penis of the music in that game, but like it's fine because it's like that's like a washed penis. That's like
Dude,
a nice...
no, I do not fucking disrespect the fucking Savannah Citadel. Fucking
No, I didn't say Savannah Citadel. I said Arid Sands.
Oh, yeah, that is a touch.
There is a penis S quality because it's just very repetitive. That
it just sounds like I just think of whenever I hear that song, I just think of the Gen 5 Pokemon from Black and White, Palpitoad, because it's just like it's like Palpitoad, like it's like the same,
very very repetitive structure. It's just like that opening especially is super penis. There's a real penis. No, Savannah Citadel is I guess if I had to rank the Sonic Unleashed music from I would say vaginal to penis, I guess, because if we're talking the opposite of penis music, it's vaginal music. You know, vaginal music it's deep, it's warm, it can do many things. It's multifaceted. It's life-giving. Whereas like penis music is just like fucking flaccid or like aggressively hard, and it's either washed or unwashed. It's like the penis is the most. The reason it's called
there's
penis
the four
music.
quadrants. The four quadrants.
Yeah.
Washed, unwashed,
Soft and hard.
Soft, hard.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that all of the Unleashed music, I would say, is washed hard. Like. And I'm not going to do cut uncut because like
you don't think any track is vaginal on the Sonic Unleashed soundtrack? You don't think
they're
like
all
the
vaginal.
Chunan?
I think, I want to rate them from like I think they're all vaginal except for Arid Sands, which verges on clean hard, like washed hard. But like even that one is so fucking fire. Like it just happens to have a more repetitive structure, which works for the song, by the way. And for the stage, it's just that I don't make the rules about what is and isn't penis. If it's like repetitive and uses kind of the same like sounds over and over again, it's penis. But like obviously like Rooftop Run is probably the most vaginal song in the game. Just like extremely layered and deep. Although that one has a kind of repetitive like structure for the that gets repeated a lot, so maybe that can't be.
But there's like layers over it. It's like a more complicated song, because if it was do and that was the entire song, because that's the thing, Arid Sands is the entire time. The entire song is basically like that with maybe like one or two differences.
There's a bridge at one point, and obviously it has the intro that like tells you the song is looping, which is like, by the way, that like penis isn't inherently bad. It's just funny. Penis just is it is funny with like the repetitive.
It's music that like makes you like when you hear it you go like when you hear it you're just like
it's the same reaction you have when you see a little tiny penis like in like the Shrinkage episode of Seinfeld, like where you just. I was in the pool. Arid Sands is just shouting that at the Spagonia theme for laughing at it. Like, yeah, I mean, I think Savannah Citadel is a top 3 vaginal song. Like, just that song in particular is really layered. You know what's probably the second most penis song in the game? Actually, is Empire City. Because it has
you can't say that opening fucking sax riff is anything penis.
Well, it's not
anything close to penis.
That's the only part of it that isn't penis, because it's the same like riff for the rest of the song, like similar to Arid Sands. It's just that it has a better opening riff than which is just like very funny.
I can't abide by the Empire penis shit, dude. I
said
can't
it's
abide
the
by
second most penis. I didn't say it's penis. I said it's the second most penis.
Like if you had to rank it, like if
that's
you
what
had,
I'm doing. Like I'm doing it. I'm doing it based on the fact that like it's like whenever.
Why would you like rank like? Why would you rank all the songs that like that's rank how much this country song What's the best rap flows on this country record? Like, what the fuck are we doing? Shouldn't we talk about the best flows on a rap album? Shouldn't we talk about the best penis music on a penis album? Like,
well, that's the thing. Like we're specifically going from most like what veers towards penis the most. Like, but most of the songs in the game are vaginal. It's a case of like you have to do it. It's like one of those reviews or like top 10 lists that's like top 10 worst aspects of great game. A great game,
or it's like a game review in 2009 where it's story, graphics, sound. We just got to break it down like that. We got to.
Yeah, we just have to talk about whether it is or is not like within the realm of penis, and I think it's just the fact that Arid Sands and Skyscraper Scamper meet the penis requirements, but. This is, if we're doing it as a tier list, like the only one that is even like C tier in terms of verging on penis. I guess if it's based on penis, S tier penis. Like I would honestly say that Shamar only reaches B tier penis. Like everything else I would say is C and D tier as far as like being close to penis music. It's just very funny because like all the songs in that game are really diverse. I would say Jungle Joyride is third closest to penis, but like it's so instrumentally it's so subdued that it kind of can't make you laugh. It's just not very amusing. I mean, yeah, like you're right. Like it's not a good metric for Sonic Unleashed, but it is very funny to kind of figure out like which of these objectively great songs fits this metric that really doesn't fit them all that well. Because that's such an interesting question. It's more interesting than like every like I've been getting a lot of recommendations that's always like, top 10 Zelda games. I'm like, oh, gee, I wonder. Yeah, I can't imagine. I truly can't imagine what
I'm just
the top
waiting for the
three will
day
look like.
someone does it. It's like number 4, Oracle is Season. It's like, just have some cracked list.
Yeah, that's often
really?
it. Oracle tends to crack, like, in a lot of instances, it tends to crack top 6. Like top 7.
Really?
Yeah, it's really beloved. I mean, well, Minish Cap tends to crack more. Okay, well, here's the thing. The 3D games always end up, fucking clearing, except for Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds. Those tend to, like, just absolutely clear. I think Link's Awakening deserves to clear a little more, personally. But I understand, like, Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds is, like, those are seen as, like, really high quality. But yeah, like, top 3, like, unless the person is, like, really out to, like, be an individual. Yeah, it's like Ocarina of Time's always in the top fucking 5, top 3. Majora's Mask usually either behind or in front of it. And then it's like, okay, Breath of the Wild, and if it's not Breath of the Wild, now it's Tears of the Kingdom. Like, as number 1. Like typically at number 1 or number 2. Majora's Mask will make the number 1 of any like really personality driven YouTube channel, as if to be like, guys, I'm a personality.
I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm a personality. Whereas, like, any, like, if it's, like, a Watch Mojo or, like, a... What's that? Like, the channel with the British people who do, like, 7 bosses that waste your time or whatever, like...
Oh, that's, like, I know what you're I know the exact...
Yeah, you know the name.
It's like that Xbox channel, I think.
Yeah, like that they'll usually do it on, like, the more objective metrics of, like, yeah, but this game is finished and good, like... It's not fucking Wind Waker, which is hacked in half. I noticed this recently with YouTube polls, because I've been getting a lot of YouTube polls too. And
you mentioned this to me the other day. I wanted to hear about this.
Yeah, so I saw a YouTube poll that was like, which game has the better shrines, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom? And like, Tears of the Kingdom was leading like 75 to 25, and I think that's pretty fair, because I think on reflection, Breath of the Wild has better shrines. It's just that most of them are not better. Most of them are like just vaguely lesser because they are more dungeon-like, more like Zelda room-like, and Zelda rooms are not very good. They're not great. But then you like vote, right? And of course Tears of the Kingdom always fucking wins these votes. And so I'm like, why would anyone make this? And then the reason that I find out that someone makes it is that the channel owner, you scroll down to the comments, and the pinned and like favorited comment is always like, everyone voting Tears of the Kingdom is fucking stupid. Breath of the Wild is so much better because of this. I don't know why anyone would say this. And I realized I'm always like, oh my god, YouTube polls are just for confirmation bias of unpopular opinions by the creator. Like, literally every YouTube poll is about getting specifically, and by the way, vote-wise, the creator is never right. The creator is never right, like, because people will just be like, oh, yeah, cool, yeah, all right, you know, I recently liked Tears of the Kingdom more, I'll hit Tears of the Kingdom and I'll be on with my day. They're not going to think about it more, right? Like, they're just going to think about, well, I played that one recently, I had more fun, so Tears of the Kingdom gets the vote. Whereas, like people who really want to engage with it, like, that's all the comments. And, like, I think that is the appeal of the YouTube poll, besides besides, hey, what do you want me to do on my channel next? Do you want a video about, like, there's this guy who does top 10 lists that I keep getting recommended, and it's like, hey, he does, like, Zelda and Soulsborne, and so he's like, hey, Liza P is really good. Would you guys be interested in the Liza P video? Like, you know, and it's like, yes, no, you know, not right now, more, you know, finish the Elden Ring rankings, you know, things like that, like, and that's fine. That's like a good YouTube poll. But like the YouTube polls where they're like clearly fishing for their answer is like such an oddly specific genre that I have yet to not encounter. Like I've yet to not encounter like someone's like, what do you guys think about Tears of the Kingdom not having DLC? Like most people are like, yeah, I'm fine with it. You know, let's move on to the next game. But, like, every one of those polls, like, will always have this, like, fucking rant about, like, well, they didn't complete the game. Where's the Sky Islands? And it's always, like, pinned by the fucking creator. Like he made this poll to, like, see how many people are just as mad as he is. And like, there are certain genres of, like, poll, especially with the amount of Zelda content I get now, because I have to, well, I don't have to watch a lot of it. I choose to watch a lot of it because it's helpful for
because you hate
modding. Yourself. No, it's helpful for modding, like, to have just a lot of... But the problem is, like, it just lumps all Zelda in, like, I care about all Zelda. And so I always see these, like, Zelda polls that's like, what's better, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask? Every time Ocarina clears the votes, like, it's always, like, if it's not, like, 60-40, it's, like, 70-30, or, like, you know, better. But all the comments are like, Majora's Mask is the highest art that games will ever achieve. Like, 35 likes, right? But it's like, the votes don't reflect that. So like, that's what the YouTube poll is for, is to very quickly get confirmation bias on your unpopular opinion. It is for channels and for people who have an unpopular opinion and hope to draw in the kind of people passionate enough to have their take and to really fucking write it out. And every single time it is so transparent. It's like that video that I got recommended where it's like, what your favorite Zelda game says about you, and like all the games get smoke except for Majora's Mask.
Except for Majora's Mask.
Yeah, where it's just like, it's like, why would you do this? Like, this is not the point of what you're doing. Like, the point of the YouTube poll is not to find the people you agree with. It's to engage the audience and to like get your channel out
to, like, there. Exactly. But people are using it to prove their stupid game opinions.
Yeah, it's so funny because especially like the poll results, the thing that matters in the poll, it never reflects the comments section. The comments section is always like why people voted the unpopular route, right? Like,
yeah.
And every now and then, and I'll agree on something, but then the comments are like so, like, I'll agree with the minority, but then the comments are so like extreme and like mad about the results of the poll. Like, I don't know anyone could say this, you know, it's very obvious. Like, like if you did like a poll that's like, what's the best Souls game? Like, probably most people would vote for Dark Souls, right? Maybe Elden Ring because it's the most recent one. But then all the comments would be like, Dark Souls 3 deserves to win. Why is it Dark Souls 3 winning? Like, you know, Dark Souls 3 is the best one. Sorry, no, it would be Bloodborne. If Bloodborne wasn't winning, which it might, because that's really generally popular. Like these polls are always for the most rabid of fans who really have to let you know, not only is this one my favorite, I'm really cool for having this one my favorite. The connection I have with this game is so deep that I could write a wall of text. That's what it is.
See, this is what it's really about. It took us a couple minutes to get down to because it's not about the poll. It was never about the poll, Bile. It was about what you just said. It was about people being like, oh, But this one, though, guys, is way better. And I'm better for liking it more.
But specifically the idea of the poll being about fishing for the unpopular opinion from the creator, like, is this consistent trend that I find very, very interesting. Because the poll results themselves are never in favor of the creator, but the comments always are, and like you'll see the creator just go in and like all the comments that he agrees with, and it's always the minority vote. And I'm just like, then why even make the poll? Like why even make the poll if you're not just gonna let people have their opinion and you're not gonna fucking weigh in and make sure everyone
But he
knows.
is letting them have their opinion because they voted, and Ocarina of Time's winning the poll.
But like that's the thing, like why when there is
because
that
you know the reason
bias.
why the minority is getting 35 upvotes in the comments is because the minority sees that Majora's Mask isn't winning. They're upset. They go to the comments to be like, "Oh, Majora's Mask is way better," and they comment about it. It's the negative thing. It's why people It's why people leave negative reviews, but not positive ones, or more likely to leave negative than a positive review.
I don't necessarily have a problem with the comments always being like this insane, like, because here's the thing, like if the comments were like that and the uploader wasn't going in and making sure to like all the comments that were in the minority vote, that's different. That's letting people have your opinion and like letting people express their opinion, because you just vote in the poll. You just vote in the poll, or you vote in the poll and you leave your comment and you get your support. But it's specifically like the fact that like the uploader has transparently made it clear that they are looking for the minority opinion. They're hoping that one wins. Like, that's where I feel like, why can't you just let people have your opinion, like, just very quietly? Just vote in your own poll. Just be one of the anonymous, like, you know, people that is voted in your poll, and just vote the way that you want to. Like, why do
you should do this? I mean, you got a YouTube channel. Do you got access to the community tab?
Yeah,
Did they give it to you?
Yeah, I'm
okay. Does everyone just
subs.
have that now?
No, I'm at 1,000 subs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you should start dropping polls every day.
Yeah, like, and just kind of see, but like that's what's so interesting to me, because I didn't realize that the YouTube poll was now being used, at least in certain communities, probably very petty ones, like the Zelda community, the most petty community of all fucking time, you know, guilty party in charge, or like, you know, guilty as charged. Like, was using it to like find the confirmation bias opinion, you know? Yeah. It's such a trend that I noticed where, and this is like so ubiquitous and normal with YouTube comments that like I don't have a problem with like the minority vote, like kind of getting their support in the comments, because obviously, you know, they're gonna want to say their take, and they're gonna want to say why they voted for the unpopular opinion, and people are gonna be looking for that opinion, and they're gonna be looking for kindred spirits and kindred souls who might be saying what they want to hear and what they think better than they can. Because, you know, articulate comments always get the most upvotes. Like, I have no problem with that. My problem is specifically whenever I go in and I fucking see the creator, like, making sure to give, like, not just a like, but a super like to everything that, like, he agrees with. Like, I think that is so funny that, like, it becomes that they lack the self-control to just be like, well, damn, you know, my opinion is the minority, it seems. Like, they have to go in and, like, kind of make sure you know where they voted as the creator. And then, and by the way, their content never reflects it in the end. It's always, like, low stakes, like, hey, I want to know if people agree with me this time. Or I want to hear people who agree with me just tell me they agree. And I'll make sure that they know that I agree too. Like, because these polls never end up being part of the content. Like, this Shrine guy with his, like, you know, Tears of the Kingdom. Like, he's going to continue to do Tears of the Kingdom content because he's a YouTuber. And it's his job to do the popular one right now. Like, he's not gonna go back and be like, yeah, let me do a tier list of the shrines in Breath of the Wild because I prefer them. Like, he's not gonna fucking do that. It's not gonna happen. So, like, the only hope he has to, like, get to get his opinion out there,
to get Ed is to
do the YouTube poll, and then to just like the shit out of every comment that agrees with him. And like, that's what I find so funny about it, is now, like, the polls have become like the opinion, like the low stakes opinion video, where you could make a video saying, you know, yeah, here's why Breath of the Wild shrines are better than Tears of the Kingdom shrines. Or you could just make a poll and then make sure that everyone fucking likes the fucking poll.
And make sure, and make sure that everyone who reads the comments knows your true thoughts by just hearting every. and pinning all the comments that agree with you.
That's the weird shit to me. Because what you said about like the poll and people wanting to be like, I am cool for having like this opinion that might not be winning, but that like I'm so deep and I have such deep thoughts about this. That's
also
fine. That's just
yeah,
YouTube
and it's also
culture.
too and it's also too if you're liking and hearting like a bunch of, again, like if people commented and they had something profound to say about like Ocarina of Time, and then one had profound to say about Majora's Mask, and then the other had profound to say about Wind Waker, if we're like ranking all these 3 games, and you're just hearting all the good shit regardless of what it is. But when it's just one, we all just see what you're doing. You're not
good opinions.
Clever.
Yeah. It's just the opinion that you think is good. And you want to make sure that those guys know, I'm with you. I made this poll in the hopes that, by the way, the majority vote would not be the majority vote because I don't know how this shit works. I truly don't know how this shit works. But that's what's so fascinating about the YouTube poll to me is that it exposes how many people just have the popular opinion and are happy to have the popular opinion. And
it's popular opinion for a reason.
Yeah.
Because most people have it.
And then but then like you realize like, oh my God, it's just because people who have the unpopular opinion need you to know. And this is only in certain communities where the unpopular opinion is like cool. There's like clout to the unpopular opinion. Like I would argue like Dark Souls 2, because everyone that I know in a certain server, not everyone I know, but in a certain server, like they're like big on Dark Souls 2. They think it's the best one, or they think it's like one of the best ones. A poll that would never be reflected in a poll, and no one going into a Dark Souls poll like that says what's your favorite Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 is going to write the Majora's Mask comment for Dark Souls 2. Even though I bet you dollars to donuts, there's quite a few people who have the Majora's Mask opinion of Dark Souls 2 and they have the words to say it and they have the words to articulate it. They're not going to leave it in the comments because it's futile. It's no use. Take this. Like it's not gonna affect anything. Whereas like the people who like the less popular but still like acceptable opinion, they're the ones leaving the comments. They're the ones saying like, yeah, as much of a masterpiece as Dark Souls is, Dark Souls 3 is so much better. It does this, and this. They feel empowered to have like the minority opinion because it's a good minority opinion. It's an acceptable minority opinion. You won't see, like, there are certain games and especially certain game franchises where you won't see the minority opinion win. Like, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker is never going to have people being like, yeah, Peace Walker, that's the best one. In a poll that's like, what's your favorite? 1, 2, 3, Peace Walker. Peace Walker will never have the comments flooding in. It's always going to be people dick-sucking MGS2 because they just like the ending. And they haven't played it in 15 years.
Fuck you, Miles. I like the whole game, you prick. I like the whole game, you fucker.
There's a lot of people who like the whole game. I like the whole game. I just also know people who only like the ending, and like that's all they can talk about is the ending. If you ask their opinion of Fat Man, they'll be like, I don't remember that part.
If your favorite aspect of MGS2 isn't the locale of the big shell, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you.
The orange of the big shell is so
dude, it's
good.
So orange, bro. It's so fucking orange. You want to talk about Jackie Brown blue ass suit? Big Shell, big ass orange.
I think Big Shell is the best orange in games. Like, because orange is a relatively unpopular color in games in general. So like Big Shell kind of is like pulling up the punch.
It's like Big Shell, Portal, and TF2 are carrying orange in video games. The color orange.
I guess Half-Life 2 is kind of orange.
Yeah, Valve fucking loves orange. Holy shit!
It had a whole collection of orange. Yeah, but I mean, even then, like other than Shell's like jumpsuit, like Portal is probably most commonly associated with like slender white, and then the colors blue and orange, which are just color contrast. And I'm aware that MGS2, excuse me, I swallowed like too much air. I'm aware that MGS2's orange is a byproduct of like being this like meta commentary about MGS1, which had the color palette of like algae green and snow blue, like cold blue. So of course we got to go with like deep orange. But
dude, my brain is breaking thinking about how like so few games use orange that
just not a
Valve could
popular
differentiate
color.
themselves by just calling it the orange box, because literally the games are orange. Like,
it's not a popular enough color.
I
and I don't
never
know
really
why.
thought about why it was called that until right now.
Because all three of their
The games
are orange.
are dead ass orange, bro.
Except for Portal, which is white.
Portal. Well, Portal, but no, Portal, one of the key colors of Portal is the orange Portal.
Yeah, and orange jumpsuit. Shell's
along
orange
with the
jumpsuit.
blue.
Yeah. And then TF2, obviously, very orange locales. Like, unless your game takes place in a gulch or a canyon, you're not seeing orange.
Orange.
You're not. And it's a shame, because I love a nice orange locale. But yeah, like, MGS2 orange is very good. MGS2 should be liked for the orange, but people only like the green ending. They like the very green ending. And by the way, that ending's like excellent. I don't have a problem with it. It's just, it's always really funny when you meet people who like only focus on like the misinformation, like the Patriot speech. I would call them Patriot speech fans. I think that's the best way to put it, where their favorite part of the game is being like, dude, the Patriot speech is so right. It's like, I mean, yeah, like, it's great. It's really good. You know what else is really good? The rest of the game. But yeah, no one's pulling up the punch on Peace Walker here in a poll of MGS 1, 2, 3 Peace Walker.
No, not at all. But Miles, enough about polls. I'm polled out. Let's do a question. We'll typically try to do these at the start of the show to a break. We'll call it an icebreaker. We'll just refer to the question as an icebreaker, even if we have to do it a third of the way into the show. Or
why didn't you just say we had a question?
An hour in.
Why didn't you just say we had a question? I would have done it at the top.
Well, no, so what we're gonna do going forward is we're gonna do one question a week to just get the ball rolling and so we can answer it thoroughly. Because I love doing the Q&A last week. That was awesome. But I want to have like a catalog of questions that we can build up and go through week by week. That's so fair. I wanted to start with this one from Unbound Soul. The boys are suddenly given $2 million and are expected to make a full season of a TV show of their choosing, but are given no immediate assistance outside of the initial funding. What would you try to make and why? Assume this is a team effort and your current jobs, if applicable, will still be there afterwards.
What
so we can go fuck
show?
Off.
It costs $2 million. What fucking show
I have
only
the
costs
answer.
$2 million?
I know what we're gonna make. We're gonna make live action Hotline Miami. 4 parts.
Okay, you
live
want to
action
do a
Hotline
limited
Miami
run.
Limited
series.
run. It's 4 parts. Each episode is like 30-40 minutes long.
Like
We just
at the
boom,
cost
boom, boom, knock it out.
At the cost that you're proposing, like, yeah, it would have to be limited run, because like the average episode of like even fucking Arrested Development was like $3 million an episode, like, which was fairly expensive, obviously. Like, so you're looking at either just a sitcom or a reality show, and even then, like, most reality shows probably cost a lot more because they have to have like housing and locations. You're telling me we can't do a sick like low budget Hotline Miami 4-part short series with $2 million dollars? We probably could with $2 million as the production budget for sure. Like, I think it would just have to be very short, and we probably couldn't even do full episodes, like, to a certain extent, because like, I guess it would depend on the talent that we get. But if we don't have good talent, like specifically like good well-paid talent, like we're going to need someone who like people know to like headline the show, right? We can't get Ryan Gosling. He's too expensive. And he already did that. It was called Drive. Like, so we would need kind of like a new fresh face. I would say Christian Cody.
AI Ryan Gosling.
I would say Cody Christian from Teen Wolf, who played Cloud Strife. He would be a great jacket. Christian. He would be a great jacket. But like people probably want Aaron Paul as jacket. Like they want
Aaron
like
Paul as jacket would be awesome. Or Aaron Paul as biker. Aaron Paul as
biker would be great. Yeah, just dye his hair blue and get him to grow it out long, because he's got a good long hair. We saw it in the finale of Breaking Bad. Like really great like mane mop top. So he could do like a really, really good biker. Yeah, I mean, Cody Christian is jacket because he doesn't have a lot to say and he wears a mask most of the time. It's probably fine. And then biker as Aaron Paul. Like, we're probably, unfortunately, that's the budget. That's the fucking budget right there.
Well, here's the thing. Like, the actor we get doesn't have to, like, say much or anything. Like, they can just
but you
be
still
silent.
have to pay them for their time. The thing is, we could probably cut a lot of the budget by having their role be, like, very minimal and just doing, like, a Pedro Pascal in Mandalorian, where it's like he's only sometimes in the suit. Other times it's you know, 2 stunt doubles, like, but he's only sometimes in the suit. And I have to give props to Pedro Pascal for being in the suit. He could have easily not been in the suit, and it could have just been a voiceover role, except for, like, the one episode where he has his face shown. It would have been so easy for that. Like, whereas, like, unfortunately, because we only have $2 million, you cheap fuck, Unbound Soul, you cheap fuck,
come on,
give
you
us
could have
more.
tacked on an extra $0.
Yeah, $20 million. There we go. Yeah, unfortunately, we're gonna have to make sure that Cody Christian and Aaron Paul are not in The Mask.
And we have to license the MIDI versions of the Hotline Miami soundtrack.
See, the Hotline Miami soundtrack might be an easy buy. Like, a lot of those guys are indie artists. That might be a really easy buy. But, like, a studio, here's the thing. We could probably do a nice Hotline Miami pilot that we say it's an IP. We got permission from Denaton because they don't give a shit anymore. They're in retirement. Here's our pilot. You want to give us a full series? I think we could do that for $2 million. Is get, like, a really great, like, pilot produced that makes a lot of noise. Because a lot of those pilots that make a lot of noise, like, that just are YouTube shorts, like, are usually, like, less than 6 figures even. Like, they're usually like sometimes less than 5 figures. I would say most times less than 5 figures, but, like, the ones that make a lot of noise, like a Has Been Hotel, probably not less than 5 figures. Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely, that's definitely doable, but, like, we don't do the pilot with Aaron Paul and Cody Christian. That's for when the series is picked up. But we just go to, you know, Netflix isn't going to pick it up. They might, because it's like a video game IP. But, like, Netflix is in the toilet, so they're not gonna pick that up. Hotline Miami's not big enough. Like, unless you're coming to them with literal One Piece, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll take it to Roku.
Oh man, a Roku original? Original?
Hotline Miami Roku original. Maybe HBO. Oh yeah, we'll take it to HBO.
Oh,
Sorry, we'll take it to Max.
Perfect.
Take it to Max.
Yeah. Hotline Maxami.
And you know what? We'll get Craig Mazin because he likes, you know, he has a direct line to Neil Druckmann, and Neil Druckmann, as we know, likes Hotline Miami. So, you know.
Yeah, as seen when you kill that chick. Dude, that is so funny that is the fucking game on Vita.
It makes sense.
Last of Us Part 2.
It was a 2013 release.
It does. It's just fucking really funny. It is just really funny that, like, Sony was like, no, it's got to be fucking Killzone Vita. I forgot the name of the Killzone Vita game, but, like, Resistance or something. Like,
yeah, and they're like,
not
no,
Resistance. Sorry, Resistance is another IP from Sony. But no. Anyways, I don't want to do Hotline Miami for $2 million, although it doesn't sound like I'd be able to do it. I don't know. You got any better ideas for something that we'd actually be able to do for $2 million?
I would move Survivor out of Fiji.
I think that's going to cost more than $2 million.
It might. The thing is, I'm not sure. Like, specifically how much it costs for the location in particular. But I think that it's probably feasible because here's the thing: it's not a ratings juggernaut. Survivor is a cult show, or not a cult show, but, you know, it's a following show. It has its fandom, right? And they get a lot of, like, tax breaks from Fiji. Like, I think the location is on reserve. So they can probably... I'm going to guess that the location costs less than $1 million now. Like, based on both Fiji tax breaks and the fact that it seems like the beach is, like, kind of reserved for them. I cannot be sure about this. I think it costs... probably under $1 million, though. I'm going to say, like, $900,000 as the location.
Okay.
My
sounds pretty good.
My guess,
pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think it's a great deal. My guess is that that's the cost because, again, Fiji tax breaks. They probably have an agreement with the government and the tourism board. because the main thing is that when survivors are voted out, they don't just send them home on a plane. Like, they get to like explore the island or explore like the area they live in. They send them to the mainland where there's civilization, and they go on a sightseeing tour, and then they come back for the, they leave or they come back, except for the jurors who get to stay in Ponderosa. And Ponderosa might do day trips. I don't know. But like, so they probably have to, there's a lot of like things that they probably have to pay for, like tourism board, if they're not on the tourism board, like if they're not getting tax breaks. They probably have to pay for hotel expenses, for 30 days. Like, I have to pay for 30 days of a hotel with whoever like loses. Now they're doing 26 days,
instead of 39.
Yeah. And so like whoever gets voted out, they only have to do 23 days in a hotel, the Holiday Inn, the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn. Like, I truly don't know how much it costs for Survivor to shoot in their location, but I'm going to guess it is under $1 million, like, with all of the benefits that they have. And
so you're gonna take your $2 million and just be like, we're going back to China. Like, fuck this. Like,
yeah, we're going back to China. China might be too expensive, I think. Like, you would have to go to like I would say that you can go to Panama for that much money. Panama is like dirt cheap. It's like the poorest fucking place. So you can go to Panama with that money. Like, I'm just thinking of like locations that would be good for Survivor that could be done for like $2 million, like based on the economies of the areas that they're in. Because you can't, like, there's probably a lot of places that were too expensive, like China. China was probably too expensive. Kenya, I don't know how much it costs to shoot in Kenya. But who knows? I'm probably vastly underestimating the cost of the location of these areas, but like, I am definitely
it's gotta be crazy. Like, 900,000 sounds crazy to just like block up all this land.
When I worked at a movie studio that very specifically like focused on mini majors, like they had like a place in like Bulgaria that they could just shoot constantly. All their movies were like shot in Bulgaria, and like our budgets were like fucking $6 million as a result. Like, we would get Ryan Gosling, or not Ryan, like Ryan Reynolds in a movie, right? Like, for $6 million. Yeah. And
you'd make those movies, like those like fake movies.
No, well, sometimes we made them.
Because whenever I think of Ryan Reynolds, I think of fake movies. I think of like movies that come out and are like fake.
Sometimes
that
we
aren't
made
real
fake movies. We made a lot of Redbox movies, like geezer teasers.
Oh, fucking A. Wait, what was it? Geezer teasers? Yeah, that's a first time I've heard that term.
Geezer teaser, it's like those Bruce Willis movies prior to his retirement, John Travolta movies, like shit that just appears in the Redbox. Like, I know how those get made. I was part of the crime.
You were part of the machine, part of the Redbox machine.
Probably uncredited too, is my guess. Orange
Box versus Redbox.
Yeah, Orange Box versus
Dawn of Entertainment.
Dawn of cheap entertainment. Because all those Orange Box games, like, I think especially Portal, like they were like lower budget works,
yeah,
which was great, and they're all awesome. Probably not Half-Life 2. Half-Life's probably really expensive, but
Half-Life, it was probably up there.
TF2 and Portal were probably a little bit like they could get away with releasing those on one collection. Especially Portal, which is like 2 hours long. That's like the only way you can release that in that era before like before digital.
Yeah, you gotta get some water, homie. You gotta hydrate yourself, my friend.
Yeah, I used to have some water. You know what? I'm probably completely off on the mark for the budget of those, but like I would imagine that like Fiji probably gives them some really nice breaks. And so like if I had the money where I specifically, here's what I'm not thinking like the entire production budget of Survivor. I should have clarified. I'm specifically talking about the location budget of getting them out of Fiji. I am. You
just want to pull them out. You guys got to pull them out of there.
I'm not putting up the $1 million prize, nor am I putting up the consolation prizes. I'm not putting up the money for the travel. I'm not putting up the money for the hotel. I'm specifically putting up the money for the location.
Just so I don't have to stare at the same goddamn beach I've been looking at for the last 15 seasons.
Noticeable, dude. The problem is that Fiji not only is the same beach, it's a really boring beach. Like Marquesas, for as shitty as Marquesas was for them, it's so green and so like vibrant. And it might have just been the HD camera. Like, Gabon is gorgeous. Gabon is very gorgeous. Like, I'd love to send them back to Thailand, because the first Thailand season is awful. The only Thailand season, sorry, is awful. But yeah, like a place like Thailand or China, probably really expensive. Like, you could tell, like, those were... They were going to go to Jordan before 9/11. Like, you could tell that they were, like, swinging for the fences, because fucking Borneo probably didn't cost them a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But then when it was a fucking hit, it's like, going to Australia. Like, there's no way that shooting in Australia is not more expensive than shooting in Borneo. They went to
that's
Africa,
definitely true.
Yeah, Thailand, some pretty freaking expensive places. Season 6 was the Amazon, like the Amazon. Then Pearl Islands. I don't know how expensive Pearl Islands would be, but by that point the show was already kind of becoming like reality TV. Like, not a phenomenon, but just regular ass. Like, people are still watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians. People are still watching Big Brother.
Around what season
Race.
of Survivor do you think it kind of lost its, like, cultural, like, is the zeitgeist culturally, like, kind of dipped?
I honestly think it was relatively early on. I think it was, like, after the Amazon.
Okay.
Possibly even around Marquesas, like...
Because, like, I grew up just surrounded by, like, my family who watched Survivor. So, like, it was always just, like, on, and it was always just a thing. So, I assumed it was popular for a pretty long amount of time, and it wasn't until, like, the 20s, seasons, probably, like, 20s, where it was kind of, like, it really, like, started to fall off.
I think, yeah, I mean, now it's, like, a completely different level of popular, like, unpopular. But, I mean, in that era, it went from being a cultural phenomenon to being, like, reliable reality TV, like... People could tune in and they'd know, okay, yeah, Survivor, it's on CBS. I'll check it out, you know, see what's going on this season. Like, I nowadays, like, Survivor is like a relic. Like, it is this thing that only, like, fans of Survivor, very specifically fans, like, as opposed to people who, like, just tune in to TV, which this all happens to TV. Like, you get low ratings on things. Like, 24 had, like, a really low rating period in season 6. And they had to do, like, a movie event, which that movie's fucking awesome, by the way. Like, it's just, like, a 2-hour episode that is a preamble to the season 7, and it's 24 Redemption. It's like, really good. It's literally Blood Runs Deep from Metal Gear Solid 5. Like, the same exact, like, plot to an extent. But with instead of, it's instead of a private military company, like, Jack Bauer is working... like with a former like soldier that he knew, you know, back in Kosovo or wherever, who like has this like school in Africa, like he funds like, you know, an African school, or he might even be the teacher of the African school. It's like a boys' school, and they gotta save these kids from a warlord. It's like so awesome. He's got to get them, dude. That plot is so sick because he he's being subpoenaed for his role at CTU because the new president does not approve of the measures of CTU throughout the early 2000s, like when they were you know, like under the Palmer administration. And even then Palmer wanted to cut the funding of CTU because he was like a Democrat and he didn't approve, like he just didn't see the need for like the counter-terrorist unit to get so much money. Especially because like they had a bad reputation of like kind of torturing people. Like they were sort of like the CIA. Like they just had a really bad rap. And President Taylor, who takes over in season 7, like really doesn't agree with the measures of CTU. And so she has like this very like kind of neutered policy on like no torture, no extreme measures. And so like he gets fucking subpoenaed for his role in like some of the most controversial CTU
some of the most heinous, questionable acts ever performed.
There's some amazing
by the American government,
dude. Yeah, Jack Bauer like does some fucking like because he is like truly not just an anti-hero, like he verges on a villain at times. Like just he is a good guy and he cares about America, but like the darkness in him that he can like just summon up to get the job done is what makes him such a great character. And sometimes he just like he really just goes off the deep end. Season 8 in particular is like the perfect ending for that character, like the logical extreme for that character. But season 7, like, he gets subpoenaed and he's hiding in Africa. He's like, no, I'm not in the country anymore. Like, unless you take me by force, which you don't want to do. I'm gonna just hang out at this boys' school, and I'm gonna help teach the boys, and I'm gonna help these these young men become like stay out of war. Like, in particular, he's trying to kind of give them lives outside of war and not being a soldier, which is an MGS5
But he's got
plot.
he's got to save a bunch of other child soldiers.
No, the school is raided by General Dubaku, who I remember his name because everyone in the show is constantly repeating the name of the villain, probably because it's a serialized show and they have to make sure you're following the thread. But everyone is constantly saying each other's names. I always make fun of Almeida. Like, Tony Almeida will just answer the phone, just Almeida, Tony, it's Jack. Just the speed with which they announce each other, or they introduce each other. Which makes sense.
Dude, that's so funny. I'm gonna be thinking about that anytime I watch a TV show now, how often they say people's names to like get you caught up to speed and know with who's
and
who.
By the way, if movies did this, I would be so happy because I can't remember anyone's fucking name in a film.
Same, bro, same. I'm always like, yeah, this person or this actor, or and then like one character's name I'll remember, like one or two characters' names I'll remember, and then everyone else will be like, yeah, I don't.
Bro, I made it through most of Elemental without knowing the name of the love interest. Like, I actually made it through most of that film without knowing his name because they say it like twice. So,
it's probably some liquid
it's really
pun,
clever,
right?
Yeah, his name is actually very clever. It's Wade.
Like, yeah, like
wading through water. That's a thinker.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been, but I thought his name was Wayne, and then I thought his name was Wave. Like, Wade, that's a thinker. Someone thought about that one. Like, it would have been really easy to just call him like Aqua, or like, because Ember is just such a like obvious name. That's such a blatantly like easy name. It sounds like Amber, but it's Ember.
Yeah.
You can't name the dad Flint, even though that would have been really good.
Yeah, that would have been. Oh man, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, like, but Wade is a real thinker, and it would have been very easy for them to name him just like Aqua, Dasani,
just Aquafina.
Aquafina. Yeah, Aquafina.
Ice Mountain, call him Ice Mountain.
I would have loved it if Aquafina was in Elemental as like a woman.
A water
like a
type.
water woman. Yeah. I would have liked it if Aquafina was in the film as a woman. As opposed to the male role she often plays.
As opposed Yo, what element would you be in Elemental? What species would you be?
I've always said that I would be air in general. Like, I think I'm just like very like laid back and passive. I would probably be fire, like when I'm on this show in particular. I would say that I'm a storm cloud. I would say that I'm like a cloud, and I have the ability to just like become a storm cloud and just like be fucking mad. But I like, for the most part, I'm very laid back, and nothing really phases me. But I get really mad about like when I say nothing really phases me, nothing really phases me in terms of like just like the direction.
You're the
that
wind.
The direction that
Stuff
life
phases
takes
through
me.
you all the time.
Yeah, just the direction that life takes me. But like, I get really fucking charged about things online. Like, it's really hard to piss me off in anything other than a social situation where I am confronted with another person who I just can't stand. Or when it comes to like media, like when I feel like a piece of media is just like heinous and I hate it. Like, and even then, that's pretty rare. Like, a lot of people will like be severely disappointed in things, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm not like fucking laser hone obsessed with like the latest disappointment, I find it amusing. Like, I kind of like the fact that I don't know anyone who loves Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I think that's really funny because like the first day or two of that game, everyone was like, dude, this game is god tier. It's incredible. Game of the year. And then just slowly everyone was like, oh my god, all you do is press the face buttons on a rail. I think people wanted Tony Hawk, and unfortunately that's just not what Jet Set Radio was. But Jet Set Radio, especially Future, did a better job at kind of like designing its levels so that skate opportunities.
It's not
aren't
really
obvious.
about like the problem. Here's how I square it. Like Tony Hawk is about the scoring, and because of it, the skating mechanics in Tony Hawk are way more complicated and input dense than what is in Bomber Cyberpunk. Bomber Cyberpunk combo has Tony Hawk style comboing, but it's extremely generous, like super fucking generous. Like you have to kind of try to lose your combo basically. Like it's so easy to keep it going.
But in particular, the thing about Future that I noticed is that the level design makes it a little bit tougher to figure out, like, this is a great combo spot right here.
Yeah, exactly, because the way the combos work is you can only grind on one rail, and then you can jump off the rail and continue to get a few more points. But the second you touch the ground, the combo's over, you're done. Or if you jump, or if you like derail, or you like try to like turn around on the rail, like it's like you're just gonna lose your combo. And it's also timing based too, whether you're doing short tricks where it's x or y, like regardless of whatever you're doing, like you have to keep the timing. Where in Bomber Cyberpunk there is no timing. It's literally just mashing buttons with reckless fucking abandon, finding every single spot to wall run on and to grind turn where you can turn to grind on, and just so you can build up your multiplier. And you don't get anything for getting a lot of points. You're not really rewarded for it in game. And whenever you're challenged by the enemy teams, they're so dog shit at getting points that I would absolutely smoke them like every time. And it was like, this isn't fun. Like, this isn't this fun or interesting. But what Jet Set Radio does is not only it's about the level design. The level design is super strong and really interesting, and it's fun to actually skate around these areas and collect the graffiti souls and like do all the graffiti and shit. Where in like Bomber Cyberpunk, the level design's okay. It's just like not as good and not as interesting as what
Sam, like modding
does.
has given me, like, because I always appreciated how hard a developer's job was. I was never one of these people who, like, a lot of people in the Tears of the Kingdom community call Nintendo lazy for stuff that's like so obviously like not a problem. Like someone on a dev team that I'm with, like, had a problem with the fact that like the default name for bosses, if you haven't inputted a new name in like the mouse file, right, like which it displays like on screen text and things like that, you know, was Calamity Ganon, even though Calamity Ganon is not in the game. And they're like, that's lazy, they didn't change it. I'm like, why the fuck would you change it? if like this perfectly functional system that like displays like a default, you know, image already that you made from the game that you're already iterating on, why would you have changed it? Would you have done that? Like, just one
if
of those things.
No one's gonna see it in the end game. It's no.
Yeah,
no.
just one of those things where I'm like, what's the problem? Like, what is, from a workflow standpoint, why would anyone take the time to do that? It's not necessary, and we have Ultra Hand to program. Like,
and also like cutting room floor shit ends up in video game code all the time.
Yeah, maybe Calamity Ganon was in the game. I don't know.
Like this is, I feel like this is very common. Like a lot of this shit
so
is
I'll
still
see a lot
like
of,
in it.
I'll see a lot of stuff like that, and I'll just be like, I've abstractly known like why it happens and how hard the work is, but like even doing some basic things, like some of the mods that I'm trying to make involve a lot of planning, and a lot of the times it doesn't work out. Like, just I'll run into some complication, or I'll realize like, oh shit, they made this decision for a reason, you know, by doing this it doesn't work. Like, so like when a game like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk has fucking mid-level design, I understand how that happens, because you get a vision in your head and you think to yourself, okay, here's how it's gonna work, we're gonna do it like this, we're gonna do it like this, and then you start to realize as you're making the level, like, oh my god, this is not at the level it's supposed to be. Like, or you start making the level and you think like, this is around the level where it's acceptable and decent and good, and we're on a tight deadline. Like we can't try and make this like a fucking insanely good. Like, not everyone is like Harikata, where like Harikata can just incrementally make ultra kill and like constantly just redo shit that he doesn't like anymore. I know he like and he has like just this direct ass line to like everyone who plays Ultra Kill. Not every dev or every dev team has some of those luxuries. And I'm definitely like, when I see the level design in a game like Bomber Cyberpunk, which is like an indie game based on a system that partially was pre-developed. I don't know how best to word it, but it was conceived of not by them necessarily. Like the idea of the skating, combo game is not like it's not a game that the team has done multiple times. They're not like the guys to do it, right? No,
this is their first at bat at something like this, and maybe
Exactly.
they'll give it another go.
Like
I hope they do.
No one talks about the first Tony Hawk game. I'm sure the first Tony Hawk game's solid, right? But like everyone likes the refined like Thug 2 and Underground, or not Underground, Pro Skater 2. Like people really like those ones. Pro Skater 3 I know is really, I think that's the most popular one now.
Yeah, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you have a lot of people who like just their wheelhouse is, and they've probably been very carefully selected from a company which has a lot of different employees. They're probably very carefully selected because they are the guys who had good, that the team thought would be good to make a skating game, right? Like that had like either the resume or the programming background or just the best, creative mind to conceive of a good skating system. That's kind of how it works with a lot of companies. Like, I knew an indie dev who was working on an ImSim, a very unpopular ImSim, like one of these very like, it's not a famous flop, but it was a pretty high profile, like 3 out of 10, like savaged by critics, full of glitches, like game, right? And he had told me in a lot of instances, like, it was just because a lot of the team, they didn't make ImSims generally. Like, a lot of their idea of ImSims was like BioShock, and so they couldn't really conceive of a lot of more complicated systems, and they didn't have the time to implement a lot of the really ambitious ones. And they probably didn't have the budget to extend the dev timeline, and so there was a lot of systems that they invented that didn't work. And they had to get cut, and they had to get replaced with something more streamlined, and that's how it is. Like, sometimes the team is not stacked up to do the work. Like, there is a human error element to all games. Sometimes there's someone who makes a bad call, and that bad call gets very far. Like, a very famous example among, the DMC5 community is the Devil Breakers, which the Devil Breakers, it was decided that they would break. They had to break before you could switch over to a new one. And even among the dev team, that was a controversial choice, and a lot of people fought against it. And apparently, like, the team was, like, literally split 50-50. And then the decision that none of the players appreciated made it to the end, which was that you can't switch Devil Breakers until they're fully used up. That happens in games. Like, so I've come to really appreciate and understand that with something like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. But it kind of doesn't change the fact that, like, yeah, it's not doing it for people.
I mean, that's not true, though. People think it's good. I just got a fucking video on my subscription box from Leon Massey yesterday called Bomber Cyberpunk is good, and it's 38 minutes long. I want to watch it because I want to see exactly what he has to say about it. Because, like, to me, like, I want to know, like, because I feel like I'm in the minority. I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't really like this game like that much. I feel like everyone else is pretty happy with it. Like,
I think everyone else is pretty happy with it, but it's a case of, like, they're happy with it now, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
But if you're not happy with it now, you're probably not happy with it at all. There's probably going to be a very small dedicated fandom who's happy with it forever. Like, and this happens to a lot of games that I don't expect it to. Like Hat in Time. A lot of people still think Hat in Time is, like, the best game, the best indie game. Like, it happens with certain games. Yeah, it happens with certain games. But I personally don't know anyone who, like, really loves Bomb Rush Cyberpunk or even liked it. Like, they thought it was more than okay. They thought it was fine, and I think that a lot of it just comes down to the fact that a lot of them were probably looking for a more, like, hardcore take on skating games, or a lot of them were probably looking for a game that more adequately understood like the appeal of Jet Set Radio outside of
That's
the
what I was
aesthetics.
looking for.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. Because when I first started playing it, I was like, oh, it's actually more like Tony. The gameplay is actually more like Tony Hawk. And then initially I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm open to this. I'm open to this combo of Jet Set Radio aesthetic, but more Tony Hawk style gameplay. But the Tony Hawk style gameplay is too simple, and the level design from if that's so great and phenomenal in Jet Set Radio isn't quite hitting the same here. So it's like the two best parts of the two games it's trying to do, it like doesn't quite nail either.
That's
so it just leaves me feeling meh.
That's what I kind of feel with the level design is it was probably conceived of with the Tony Hawk gameplay in mind, but with the Jet Set Radio Future kind of element to it, like more wide open spaces. But it just, whatever system they made for this kind of Tony Hawk skater thing, it was either they intentionally wanted it to be a bit more streamlined and easy, or it was deemed too difficult and they streamlined it, or they didn't realize it was too easy and they thought that it was the right level of difficulty for the player base. And then people probably wanted something more intense from the game. Like, again, these things just happen. Like, I think that, like, I've kind of always understood that, but I don't think that I understood the amount of possible human error in decision making until, like, I started having to make the decisions myself. I kind of always chalked things up to, because being part of the media industry for so long, like, I kind of always chalked things up to decisions that were either, like, producers made bad decisions. The actual people, like, on the ground working on these things, they were the ones who were hamstrung by reality. We only have this much resources. So I kind of always assumed in the case of, like, developers that decisions were made out of practicality or out of just, things not working out as intended. But I do think that there's also a human error element of, like, sometimes you come up with a plan and the plan ends up not being what people wanted, or you come up with a plan and then the plan ends up having to be cold and streamlined.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to, at the end of the day, when it comes to, like, me playing a game and sitting down and, like, thinking about it critically, like, I just kind of take the game for what it is. Like, the game just is. Like, I don't really care, like, how we got here. Like, I don't really want to theory craft about what was going on in your mind about why you thought X, Y, Z. Like, I just want to take the game at its kind of own merits and, like, take the game for what it is and, like, how it presents itself, not, like, what your fucking mind was thinking when you made it. Because like, I'm not in your fucking brain. Who the fuck am I to know what was actually going on up there? I just want to, like, I can only speak to, like, how a game actually presents itself, And I think anyone who tries to do, like, otherwise is, like, trying a little too hard.
I think no one should be going online and saying this publicly, like, in a YouTube video that lives forever. This is a call out to the gaming Brit, where, like, he loves to just assume what happened behind the scenes. And like his Silent Hill video is really funny because, like, he, like, projects onto the Silent Hill team that they were, like, some coordinated team with, like, a cinematic vision that had, like, a really great cohesive story to tell. It's like, no, they made it sequel by sequel like everyone else. And the sequels didn't line up with each other, and sometimes games got turned in, like, Silent Hill 4 literally got turned into a Silent Hill game. It wasn't a Silent Hill game. So it's not actually part of their grand vision that you allege that they have. Like, Silent Hill 2 was clearly, I think, an attempt to do an anthology thing. I think it was their attempt to make Silent Hill into a, like, like a Tales from the Crypt-esque thing where the Silent Hill is the framing device. A new character goes to Silent Hill, but then Silent Hill 3 ended up being, like, about the cult again and being about, a legacy character, the child of a legacy character. Just a lot of, like, I don't get a cohesive vision from these games. I think that they find cohesion in the sequels because they're able to connect ideas or they're able to retrofit ideas, but, like, I never got the impression playing any of them that there was, like, a grand vision. And he's like, the thing about this team is that they knew exactly what they were doing from the start and they were going to do it right, and then Kojima wasn't going to do it right because he wasn't part of the original team, and so he wasn't going to make a Silent Hill game. Like, And I think his opinion on it is perfectly fair. Like, yeah, Kojima probably wasn't going to make a Team Silent Hill game. He was probably going to do something weirder and probably not in the flavor of Silent Hill. I personally think that Silent Hills would have been mildly controversial among Silent Hill fans for not feeling like classic Silent Hill and having a lot of the same things that people liked about it. But, like, man, those original games were just made fucking sequel by sequel. They probably made every game assuming it was going to be the last one, because that's kind of what you do in a lot of instances. Like, you're kind of always prepared for this game to be the last one if it doesn't do well. Or at the very least, that if it doesn't do well, you're going to have to shake things up. So, yeah, I don't really know. Like, I like to think about, like, how decisions get made or how things happen. But I do think, like, yeah, I tended to never really put human error on them. I tended to think that was a little too, like, condescending. But no, I think human error is probably a pretty fair reason for things to happen. And now I totally agree with the fact that, like, yeah, sometimes devs make something that doesn't line up with the expectations. It's not that it didn't meet expectations, it didn't line up with them. I have to imagine that Bomb Rush Cyberpunk was probably, you know, it's probably a lot of people's, like, you know, favorite thing right now. I'm not going to say favorite game of the year. Like, it might be someone's. It's got to be someone's game of the year.
I'm sure it probably is someone's, but it's like, yeah, and it's kind of like, I don't know if you've read any of the shit about the final Horizon update for Sonic Frontiers, but apparently it's, like, it's hard. Apparently it's, like,
apparently it's really
hard. And
really hard.
And I'm amped. I started a fresh file over. So I'm, like, kind of working my way through the story stuff again. So it'll be probably a week or two before I actually get to the new stuff. But, like, oh my God, I cannot fucking wait, dude. Because these bitches online, these baby children, cannot handle having to try anymore. Like, no one can learn. No one can suffer failure and defeat. They just have to, like, be good at it, you know.
I am curious, because one thing I've learned as well is that there's difficult and then there's overtuned. And I had a lot of trouble articulating this with Elden Ring. I didn't find the bosses hard. I just found them to be very, very, like the consequences of failure were so significant, like just a missed input. But you are usually able to just heal and go back to the fight, but, like, just the amount of, like, attacks that they would have in a string, or just the amount of knockback you would suffer from a single hit, I like that is what it means to be overtuned. And I do hear a lot of people using the phrase overtuned. So what I'm now interested in is, are they using it correctly, or are they saying overtuned in their way of trying?
I have a feeling. It's just, I have a feeling the platforming is just fucking, it's just hard. I have a feeling it's just fucking hard.
Because I hadn't considered that it was the platforming. I thought they were talking about the combat.
It's all the platforming. Oh no, it's not.
They're talking about the platforming?
I can tell you right now, it's all platforming. Okay. It's all platforming. I can almost guarantee it's all platforming. I can't speak to it myself, but at least going by the previous updates, like Update 2 had some more difficult challenges, and it seems like Update 3 has even more. All the Update 2 challenges were basically, like, platforming challenges. And, like, that's what people seem to be complaining about, because they have to go through, like, a gauntlet of, like, because in Update 2 you have to collect secret, like, hidden Coco, basically, like, which are the little collectible characters. And then in Update 3, I'm not entirely sure, like, what's going on quite yet. I've tried to stay as spoiler-free as possible, so forgive me if I've said anything super ignorant in the last, like, 2 minutes about the update. I haven't really seen much of the content, though. But playing Sonic Frontiers, again, with jump deceleration is fucking life-altering.
See, I'm fucking jealous, because I kind of wish that every game would get up, like, every like major game that could benefit from updates like this would get updates like this.
Yeah, imagine if fucking Tears of the Kingdom, like,
that's
every,
what
like,
I wanted.
3 months was like, yeah, here's a bunch of shit.
Yeah, that's what
like,
I wanted.
It's cool
for them to just be like, yeah, like, we're not going to do DLC. We are just going to introduce a couple of, you know, smaller new things, like, you know, we're revamping the weather system a little bit, you know, like, it's not content, like, it's not content, which is what these stupid fucks probably want, but, like, the open world is different now. Which, to be fair, is what they did with the game, but
in the Frontiers updates, it is that it's both content, like, hey, here's more stuff in the open world, which is one of my, like, I'd say one of my, not issues with 1.0, like Frontiers, was one of those things where it was like, yeah, like, you know, there's the things, and like it's kind of like you do it and it's like it'll take you like 23 hours to get everything and you're done. And it'll take you an extra like probably like 8 hours if you go through all the memory tokens, which is like another thing. You only have to get like a certain amount of them, but they're marked on the map, so you got to collect them. If a game marks shit on the map, it counts for something. But yeah. But then there's a bunch of other mini challenges, and by completing the mini challenges, you unlock new abilities or new modes and stuff, like extreme mode or a boss rush, or you beat the boss rush to unlock extreme mode, I think. And then you can do all these score check challenges to unlock the spin dash, which is fucking crazy.
Everyone likes the spin dash.
It's fucking crazy. You can get so much airtime with it. It's awesome.
I do think that this should be the future of DLC, just like, especially with Cyberpunk as well as a precedent. Like, I think the future of DLC should just be like being able to just kind of enhance the vanilla experience. But to be fair, like, I also know a lot of people miss the 1.0 version of Frontiers, like, and they might be a minority, but like those people exist. And so that might also be a consideration or a risk, like just kind of like unmaking your own game. Because even with Tears of the Kingdom versus Breath of the Wild, I see a lot of people who just prefer the way that Breath of the Wild did its thing. And so like Sonic Frontiers, like that must be frustrating because that's the game now.
Yeah,
the
it's
old
not
version
really,
of the game
like,
didn't exist or doesn't exist anymore.
I haven't seen anyone like be like, yo, like, I need my 1.0, or like this was better in 1.0, or like
I don't think anyone said it was better in 1.0, but I think there are probably some people who missed the 1.0 experience, or like who preferred the 1.0 experience, like to a lot of the DLC. Like those people probably exist, and like that's if I was a developer, I personally would be like, tough shit. But I also understand, like, maybe not every game should do this, even though it's kind of what I would like, because it's possible that a developer would just ruin the game that I liked. That's what happened to Splatoon.
Well, in the case with Sonic Frontiers, it was one of these things where it was like the game sold excellently and way above what their expectations were, and it was really well liked, and they're like, well, we have plans to do a sequel for Sonic Frontiers anyways, but instead of like just going all into that, let's like try to implement some of the ideas and concepts we have for the sequel over the course of the following year after Sonic Frontiers, and like updated a bunch of times, which is how we got the roadmap that we did and like all this content. So not only is like Sonic Frontiers, I feel pretty confident in saying that it's definitely in an objectively better state than it was in like November 8th of 2022, which is, I'm happy with, because I liked what I played in November 8th of 2022. It was not like it was bad or shitty. It was like a solid 7, probably. I think when I played
one
late
of those
8,
games where like,
and now I'm feeling like a strong 8 at least, maybe a late 9.
I think it's an interesting case of like some games you just can't conceive of the better version of that game because you don't have it. And I can't think of a lot of examples right now, but like, yeah, sometimes you just play the game and you take it for what it is and you say, yeah, it's good, I like it as it is, because who the fuck is going to make a DLC roadmap like this? Probably only Sega. Like, people.
Yeah.
You know, a good example: Persona 5 versus Royal. Like, I think everyone universally just prefers Royal now, and nobody could have said like, yeah, I like Persona 5. I just wish it had another character and another route and a bunch of changes, including, you know, sanding out this controversial scene and things like that. Like, no one thought to ask for that. So people loved Persona 5. People prefer Persona 5 Royal now because it's just Persona 5, but with things they like more.
Yeah, I never see anyone coming out of the woodwork being like, yeah, man,
OG Persona
P5 Vanilla was way better than Royal. Yeah, I never see that.
You don't see that with there's a few people who say that with Shin Megami Tensei 3 original versus Maniacs, or the anniversary like Raido edition. those people exist, some of them. But that's because Shin Megami Tensei fans don't deserve any rights. Guilty as charged. And to be fair, Maniacs adds a new ending that a lot of people think kind of just completely invalidates the other endings and a lot of the drama of the original game, which was that you had to make a shitty choice. Like, you had to choose between, which is the problem that Shin Megami Tensei has is that it has, like, the Fallout 4, like, decision where it's like, do you want to help the fascists, or do you want to help the nutty communists, or you could just be
or
a
sarcasm.
Free agent. Yeah, or sarcasm. And it's like what do you think players are going to choose? Because players overvalue their own importance. Like, they're going to choose to be a lone agent. Like, and so every Shin Megami Tensei story is, it's like, what bad decision do you want to make, unless you want to make the good decision?
Sorry, I'm laughing because, like, that's so true, dude. Whenever you're given a choice in the game between A faction, B faction, or C loner, like, everyone's going loner, bro. Like,
which, again, we talked about. That's why, like, bad evil routes are always worse than, like, good routes, because most people won't do them. They're saving it for a second playthrough they're never gonna do. So you can get away with making them just objectively worse.
Yeah. And in some cases, you also get way less content, too, when you take a bad or evil route. Like, you just skip shit.
Yeah, you just kill someone and you skip 3 entire quests because the quest giver's dead. Like, which I know New Vegas, they made an effort to call that out, and I think that's why New Vegas, well, one of the many reasons why New Vegas is as popular as it is among even people who, like, are critical of Bethesda nowadays, or, like, the Bethesda open world, to be particular.
Well,
that's not a Bethesda game.
New Vegas,
well, that's what but yeah, like, people who are critical of, like, the Bethesda open world game, because it is a Bethesda open world game. Obviously, it's in the fucking Fallout franchise. They're trying to adhere to that game design philosophy, but it's just made by people who had a different, a vision of the game that was a little bit more flexible. And so it's kind of ended up being more, like, under scrutiny. People are willing to give it a little bit more of a pass, because it makes a lot of decisions that are less frustrating than the average, like, Bethesda open world experience. Starfield has been very funny to discover, because the amount of people I know who are having fun with it, like, are immediately just shit on by people who aren't even playing the game, because I think that everyone just fucking hates Bethesda now. And it's also funny because everyone I know is having fun with it. Like all they could say is, yeah, I'm having fun. I really like this part.
Yeah. That's what it is, dude. I've noticed that too, is, like, the people who like it or have positive things to say about it, like Mr. Matty Plays or whatever, who's, like, a huge Bethesda fan, is like, yeah, Starfield is the weakest Bethesda game between, like, their Elder Scrolls offerings and their Fallout offerings. Like Starfield, like, doesn't hit the same notes. He still likes it and still thinks it's a good game and put 100+ hours into it, but, like, even he, who's a super fan of Bethesda, is like, it's not that great. And to me, like, I just look at it, and I've watched a lot of gameplay of it now, and, like, it just doesn't seem like space is tough, man. Yeah. Space is a tough sell in video games.
It's a bad idea.
Because if you say
it's a bad idea to make a game in space.
Because space means freedom to most people. And if your game doesn't give that freedom to them, they're going to be really mad, and they're going to feel just a disconnect, even if it wouldn't make sense for them to have that level of freedom.
I think the other problem is just that, like, there's only, like, you can't do anything in space other than fly from destination to destination. And, like, Outer Wilds did a good job of this by just making sure that space travel was as like, engaging and physics, like, intensive as possible. That game is being as popular as it is shocking to me. It's fucking shocking because it's like, it controls weird. It's a looping puzzle game where there's not a lot of content, which obviously can be popular, but, like, even then, like, I think you can clear the game in, like, 22 minutes or something like that. Like, something really insane, or, like, 52 minutes. Not even speedrunning it, just knowing the route through the game. But please don't quote me on that. I haven't played it. Just everything about that game, I'm like, I cannot believe you're so popular. Because this seems like such a niche thing, but I think just great presentation and making people take it slow and appreciate the beauty of the game, like, it does have an arresting appeal. There are some games that I'm shocked are popular. I have to be honest, I'm kind of shocked that the open world Zelda games are as popular as they are. Like, I know people just like Zelda inherently, but like, there is something so...
Especially the first game, especially Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild to me is, yeah, like the fact that was as popular as it was, like looking back on it and just being like, that's like just a Zen game. It's like fucking Animal Crossing with combat, like where you just kind of drop in and you just feel relaxed. Like, I'm fucking shocked that game is as popular as, and I suppose Animal Crossing is popular, but Animal Crossing is popular with a very different breed of player. Outer Wilds, I'm fucking shocked is as popular as it is. I can't think of a ton of like these games like where they're really popular, but like surprisingly so, because the mechanics of them are odd, or like the philosophy of them is odd. But like something like Starfield, yeah, like Starfield's probably a more conventional, like when you think of a game, you're probably thinking more of Starfield than you are of Outer Wilds. And its version of space is bigger, but its version of space travel is less mechanically interesting. You're not thinking about it as much. And its version of space exploration is not as imaginative, because Outer Wilds is so space. Like, whereas like Starfield is very like classic sci-fi space, where the planet you touch down on is like a jungle planet, and it's kind of similar to our own ecosystem. Like, the planets in Outer Wilds are just rocks. They're just rocks, and sometimes they're hollow and there's something inside of them. But most of the time they're just rocks. And like, that's part of the appeal, is that loneliness of like going to a planet and it literally is uninhabited, or it was inhabited and it's been deserted, and the only relics are ruins that, by the way, are more rocks. I played a bit of the game. I shouldn't have said I didn't play it, but I didn't finish it.
I remember you telling me that you thought the controls were really strange when you first played it.
Yeah, and that was the point, but like I really struggled to get it, and it just wasn't, I wasn't in the right place to play it. It's one of these games where I bounced off of it, and yet I don't have anything negative to say about it. I personally don't. I gotta be honest, I feel this way about Baldur's Gate 3, like, where right now I just don't have any interest in it. Like,
yeah, you're just not in the right headspace for it. No, I get that.
Everyone's telling me it's like fucking amazing, and normally I would be really, I feel this way with 16 too, where I'm just like, dude, I want to work right now. I think I don't really want to play games.
Yeah, no, I understand. I totally get that, dude. I totally get that. It's like, you got other priorities right now.
Yeah.
Same with me. It's like, I got other stuff going on, and I'm still playing games. I'm still playing Sonic Frontiers, but like, I was joking with you. I'm like, this update's gonna last me a few weeks, probably. Like,
yeah, normally you would
have
eaten through it like chowder.
I'd fucking blast through this shit in like a few days, probably.
Yeah, I definitely still have the kind of schedule where I can just shotgun a game. And I plan to use my vacation hours in most cases on like releases that I really want to play. Like, I'm definitely taking vacation for 7 Rebirth. Because like, to me, like, yeah, I have to go through that game in 4 days. Like, that's really important to me. But for the most part, I with Baldur's Gate 3, like, there's like nothing anyone can say that can put me in the mindset to play Baldur's Gate 3. And it's not because Baldur's Gate 3 is a problem. It's not because to be honest, I think the aesthetics don't help. I really hate like Western fantasy aesthetics. Like, whenever people like post their kobold character, I'm like, get out of here. Fuck it. I hate fucking kobolds, dude. Kobolds fucking need to die. I would eradicate them all. If I was a fucking genocidal warlord in one of these games, I would target the kobolds. Specifically because they're not aesthetic. Like, I actually would be a fucking eugenics
Come on,
freak.
What about in Dokapon Kingdom, man? The kobolds in Dokapon Kingdom.
I haven't seen them in... Do you think that the kobolds in Dokapon Kingdom might be like my Sonia Green, where like... Even though I'm a raging...
They're cute, dude. They're like the Goombas of Dokapon Kingdom. They're like the first enemy you encounter.
Even though I'm like a raging, like, Lovecraft wasn't a eugenics advocate, I don't think, but he was just a racist.
You and Lovecraft just are racist.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and anti-Semitic, but like, he still married Sonia Green, or Sophia Green, I forget which one, who's like a Jew. And he would like go on anti-Semitic rants around her, apparently, and she would just shut him down and be like, no, don't forget who you fucking married. Like, I'm also Jewish. You remember that, right? They divorced, obviously, but or they separated. I'm not sure if they divorced, but they like lived in separate houses towards the end of his life. But yeah, I think like I would play the villain route where I kill all the kobolds because I think they're ugly. Like I would play that character in a fantasy story just because I hate them. I hate their stupid faces.
And if you want to be a fanatical genocidal maniac,
this is not the best endorsement for the Discord or the podcast.
Your own,
maybe go
your own fantasy creature species.
I got one for you, Sam. I got one for you. If you want to be a beloved expansion to a DLC expansion bundle, then check out the Discord and make sure to subscribe.
Ask some questions so we we can answer your stupid questions.
It's a contest. We'll pick the most interesting one, have the most interesting question, we'll answer it. It's a contest. That should motivate people.
Oh man, yeah, that'll get people motivated on this Monday morning.
Yeah, I suspect that people won't get motivated by the promise of being a warlord. By being Colonel Dubaku from 24 Redemption.
From fucking 24.
Yeah, instead be a DLC bundle. Be the final Frontiers Horizon.
Yeah, the new final boss of the Sonic Frontiers is now Jack Bauer. Sonic's gonna go fight him as Super Sonic.
Bro, I gotta be honest.
All the Chaos Emeralds.
Jack Bauer would probably like that would take 24 hours to catch Sonic the Hedgehog. Like that
only 24 hours?
Well, he's got to do it in 24 hours. Like, specifically, he can't run him down, but he would have to, like, he would use all of his CTU resources to, like, catch Sonic.
As, like, Wile E. Coyote?
Well, no, like CTU, like, they have satellites, like, they can track moving objects, like, so, like, he would have to figure out how to cut off Sonic and all this stuff. He might, like, even though he hates Dr. Robotnik, he would have to work with Dr. Robotnik. Like, I don't know, maybe Sonic blew up the Pentagon. You know, he ran through the Pentagon. Maybe
Sonic blew up the moon. Sonic blew up the moon.
Yeah, there you go. And he's got to stop him.
That's what happens to Sonic X. No, that's what happens to Sonic X. Is Sonic gets blamed for blocking the moon in front of the sun.
So this is the plot, okay? This is the plot of it's called 24 Final Horizon, okay? So similar to 24 Redemption and 24 Live Another Day. We'll just call it 24 Final Horizon. Because this is his last mission, right? So he's in the Russian gulag at the end of the series. And they let him out because Sonic is in Russia. And only Jack Bauer is able to stop him because Sonic blew up the moon. So he's got to work with Russian CTU. I think he can speak Russian. I don't recall, but I'm pretty sure he can. But he has to work with Russian CTU to stop Sonic, and Chloe O'Brien inexplicably is back. Chloe O'Brien, maybe Amy approaches Chloe O'Brien, and she tries to convince Chloe O'Brien of Sonic's innocence, and Jack Bauer has to catch Sonic if he wants to get out of the gulag, even though he's resigned to life in the gulag. You know, time in there, he's now focused on getting back to, getting back in the good graces of everyone. I think they pardoned him in the US or something like that after he killed a bunch of diplomats. I don't remember. 24 rules. Anyways, but yeah, two-thirds of the way through the series, he realizes Sonic is innocent, and it's Robotnik, who is part of the Russian, coalition to stop Sonic.
He's connected with the Russians.
Yeah, he's connected with the Russians. But then it turns out that it's actually Dr. Kintobor. From the Spec film starring Jaleel White or Michael Jai White or whoever it was.
God damn it. Not Dr. Kintobor, bro.
Dude, Dr. Kintobor is back.
It's all Kintobor. it's all Kintobor.
Yeah, so that's 24 Final Horizon. And Jack Bauer ends up teaming up with Sonic. So Jack Bauer flies a helicopter, and Sonic is hanging off the helicopter, and he drops in with the snowboard like a city escape, but like he's sliding down like the swirly building in Moscow, the one.
The The one that's on the fucking Tetris box
Yeah, the
art.
Tetris building. That one. Yeah, so that's the plot, is Jack Bauer's got to help Sonic drop into the hot zone because maybe Sonic... Dr. Kentobor has all the Chaos Emeralds, and he's created, something that can repel, like, the energy of, like, people who have rings, right? Who wear rings. So Sonic has to, like, go in above this barrier, like, with a helicopter. And this makes no sense. Why would he could just jump over it. I don't know. Fuck it.